All right, everyone, welcome to another edition of Founder Wisdom Podcast, Rapid Fire Edition. Today we are with Musa Kamara. He is CEO and founder of Deen Entertainment. Musa, can you tell us a bit more about your life story?
So a quick bit about me. Born and raised in West Africa, Sierra Leone. For the most part, I spent about 20 plus years in the United States in the East Coast in Washington, D.C. And so I'm 29 years old. A lot of my business started around 2019. That's when I started my company. And then from there, I'd love to share a little bit more depth about my company, what we do exactly, how we service the community.
Yeah, what's your business story and what you guys do?
So we started in 2019. I actually registered my company while I was incarcerated. So what we do is we do a lot of community relations. We work with the community as far as with nonprofits, organization, and some of the businesses in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area.
Nice. That's pretty cool. What values is that your company? And tell us a bit more about the story behind the business. You can get a bit deeper on that one.
Yeah, when I was incarcerated, I was trying to pretty much find what I wanted to do when I come home. And then for
Mm.
me, I wanted to focus on what I love doing more and having a deep religious root, which I'm Muslim, and giving back as far as charity is part of our pillars. So I was like, you know what, how can I turn this into a business that's fulfilling too at the same time? So upon my release, I've already registered my company while I was incarcerated. So when I came home, we started servicing nonprofits in the area, and we had our first Millennial gala in 2021. It was a woman empowerment. We donated some of the proceeds to an organization that worked with teenage girls.
Interesting. And what I mean, the judicial system in the US is quite interesting to say the least. I think there's like huge challenges on that level. How is your company helping improve that?
Actually, right now, this year, 2022, we're doing a prison reform gala. So we are actually going to partner up with an organization called Casa Bridges,
Okay.
and they work with some of the juveniles in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, particularly DC. So the they're like court appointed kids. Instead of the kids going to juvenile detentions,
Mm.
they was appoint these kids to them, doing mentorship and things like that. So I'm going to further our partnerships after the gala, and I have a lot of other different things I'm doing from a grassroots perspective, working with juveniles. So at least we can stop that trajectory to go into prison and things like that. Because the policy is
Mm.
another thing. We have other organization that works on policy. Me, I'm trying to work on the juvenile perspective of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you're a kid, I sure had my altercations with the law as well. And I just wrote a LinkedIn post about that a couple seconds before I opened this Zoom convo with you. I think we're put in environments with quite a low ceiling. It's like putting a shark in 50-meter cubic of water. Like the shark's gonna struggle and he's gonna cause trouble. He's gonna break the cage and probably eat someone. I think education is first environment, but I mean, you can't control that environment most of the time. And then I think it's education. I think, we all need mentors to step in. Sometimes it's not necessarily our parents, which is the mentors that life provided us. But I think we need, like higher mentors to step up. So very important. I'm looking at your website here. So I see branding, fundraiser, Millennial gala, social media marketing. So you do consulting and all of these kinds of things. So what service do you typically which one is the most popular service you provide, and is it targeting nonprofits or you also target other businesses?
For the most part, we target nonprofit, right? Where it goes into the community relations and integrating them within the community that they're trying to service, depending on their agenda. So as far as business is kind of like a if it's one of those like pick and choose kind of projects, depending on how serviceable it is, and is it going to get us off of our agenda. So as long as it aligns with what I already do, what we already do with nonprofit organization, I take those contract in. So it's not a regular thing that I do with businesses,
Okay.
because like I said, my main focus is working with nonprofits because that's their day-to-day operation, working with the community, which is something that I like doing.
When you were incarcerated, were you planning the business, and how did you take that time to kind of reflect? Because I know that a lot of people, they go in jail and they go out of their worst, right? Like
Yeah.
they get accustomed to that environment, which is very harsh. Depending on where you are incarcerated, and how did you use that time productively?
I mean, I read. I read a lot. I read a lot of books. This the cellmate I had, he was a big reader. At the
Hmm.
time, I really wasn't, but he kind of got me introduced to it, where it was just books all over. Every time I would come in the cell, it's just books all over the place. So he ended up introducing me to be able to read more. I got more in depth with my religion. I started picking up good habits. You know, what I mean,
Hmm.
I can say that. And those habits, those discipline, I stayed on that course. You know, to getting up early, and making sure that your morning is at a certain pace so that the rest of your day, you know, can be able to be more fruitful than you have, you know. So the discipline aspect of it was set in place. So all of those things that I knew was constructive that I built from prison, I just took it once I was released. And obviously that comes with the working out and all these different elements that I put into myself.
For sure. And why do you think that you thrived while others get worse in that environment? And do you think it is like the strong majority that get in worse shape when they go to jail than when they go out?
Are you talking about mental shape or just physical shape?
Yeah, mental shape.
Well, I think they're worse when they go in, because for the most part, some people get defeated with the time that they get. You know, we talk about 10, 15 years or plus or
Yeah.
whatever the time is, and you're just in a small compound doing the same thing every single day. You know, for me personally, I was just looking at, okay, you know, what exactly it is that I could be able to start developing, and I focused on that. I really didn't get into like the prison politics and trying to be, you know, hanging out and stuff. Like, I had goals I wanted to do. I was like, okay, well, and I was in terrible shape. I wasn't fat, but my breathing was terrible. I had a bunch of things that was just terrible I wanted to fix. And I just
Hmm.
kind of focused on that. I kind of focused with individuals that you know, they spoke a lot about some of their personal goals that they wanted to do.
Okay.
So the space of who I was hanging out with, you know, that obviously changed, and that helped dramatically, because it was nothing in the prison itself. There was not like no programs or nothing like that.
Mm.
You have to just kind of use your mind and your imagination and your creativity as well.
Okay, yeah, and people you hang around with, that's super important. Getting back to the questions, because yeah, I got interested by that part of you.
Yeah.
What is your what top values do we see in your business? Like what do you value in your business, and what of these values have came from your time in jail or your past? You know, what can we see in your business that transcends the business?
Honestly, is always about integrity. It's always about integrity, putting your best foot forward. Because I feel like once people can feel like they rely on you, then you can be able to proceed from it. I'm not going to say it's about perfection and things like that, but integrity is about making sure that you be able to keep your word and make sure that you're able to put in the effort and they see these things. So when it comes to that, when it comes to our values, integrity to me is at the top of that list.
Yeah, for sure. It is certainly a top value of mine as well. Honesty and over communication, you know, and doing what comes out of your mouth, you know, and action over words as well is strongly valued here. What does your morning routine look like right now?
Man, I get up at 4:30 in the
Oh
morning.
shit.
4:30, I get up, I pray. From prayer, I go working out, you know, shower, this, that, and the third, go get me some coffee. Then I start getting into meetings, and I have this is my book right here. It's one of my favorite books. It's what I be reading like most of the
Yes.
time every morning.
Robin's my man. Yeah, he's great. He's fucking epic.
Yeah, so this is one of the books I read most of the time every morning. So that's kind of like how my morning routine is.
Yeah, I recommend also the 5 a.m. Club by Robin
Oh
Sharma.
yeah,
It's
yep.
like
I got that
classic.
too. I got that
Classic.
too. That book is a game changer. Is a game
Yeah,
changer.
I love the biohacking part. You know, he recommends stuff that is basic to me right now, but wasn't back in the days, like sun exposure and yeah, physical activity. He's big on that, high intensity trainings and so forth. So that's super
Yeah.
cool. Although I've tried the 5 a.m. thing and 4 a.m. I think, like training for an Ironman right now, I need like huge recovery, like at least 9 hours sleep, since I'm
Hmm.
training like a madman. So, but yeah, that
Oh
sounds super
wow.
interesting. Yeah. Okay. How do you, I mean, are you solo in your business, or do you have employees? Like, how do you find these A players?
Well, as I don't have no employees, so what I do is I contract through different resources that I might need. So if I'm taking on a project and I might need a decorator, I might need a videographer, photographer, whatever, a content creator, I'll just 1099 and just contract through them. Because for the most part, a lot of the brainstorming is kind of done by myself. So
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 3 years,
Mm.
putting these, because what I do is it's kind of like, even though like I'm contracted, it's kind of more like a partnership I do with these
Okay.
nonprofit organizations.
Hmm. Interesting. It certainly is an interesting niche that you're in, and yeah, I can see the value of that in events. Especially after COVID, people like want to do things physically. And these events, when it comes to nonprofits, like I've seen these as very successful. If you invite a bunch of, let's say, hedge fund managers, and they all start outbidding one another at these events, so that can be pretty cool and pretty successful not for nonprofits.
Absolutely.
What about your sales strategies? How do you get your clients?
Referrals is always the number one, because word of mouth is still the best marketing tool. Even though everybody uses the Instagrams, the LinkedIn, Facebook, all these different things, but word of mouth to me is always my top tool that I use. Then I utilize Instagram showcases some of our past events, reviews, and things like that. And people will generally just email me, and then they'll be in contact with me.
By the way, are you focused in the Washington area, or do you do nationwide?
For right now, I'm doing the Washington D.C. area. Just because I have a good pulse about what is going on in the area, who to reach, as far as from the government, local governments, and different areas that I could be able to have a pulse on. I think for me to be able to start going nationwide, I will have to be able to get a pulse on that community, or partner with somebody to have a pulse in that community. Because again, it's about being effective rather than just trying to see money. And that's because the quicker you grow, the quicker you fall. So I mean, I'm trying to take my time and make sure I have a pulse on every community I potentially expand to.
Interesting. So, talking to you, you had a rough past. What mindset advice would you have for young people out there, people that want to get in entrepreneurship? What have you learned from the past, and what makes you the warrior that you are today?
I'll tell you two things, man, and we always undermine these things just because it just sounds cliche, right? I'll say have a good discipline and
Hmm.
have patience,
Hell yeah.
because having failed attempt for different issues. And then you gotta, being disciplined, having a good regimen, something that they can continue. Because if you have a good discipline, whatever opportunity comes in the future, you're already kind of walking into it being prepared. You know what they
Hmm.
say, poor preparation. I mean, proper preparation beats poor performance. So if you're performing well, it's because you prepare well. And that's generally what tends to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, discipline and patience, they kind of go hand in hand. To me, having been in the game for 10 years in the entrepreneurial game, I mean, discipline is like second nature. So I don't reflect on it anymore. But yeah, like, I mean, that's a basic. If you don't have discipline to have a schedule to do your workout every day, and to have some kind of routine, you're in deep waters.
Absolutely.
And the patience, right? Like once you're on track and once you're achieving these goals, as alpha males, sometimes we always want more, and we
Yeah.
need to, be patient and tell the tiger to stay in the bushes and jump, like when is the time. So, yeah, I mean, good advice right there. What are your favorite softwares that you use on a day to day?
So you said my favorite self what?
Softwares, yeah.
Like my favorite self words, like words of encouragement.
I know softwares like, for example, I use
Oh, oh,
Google
oh, you
Docs a
say
whole lot. Yeah,
software?
yeah.
Software. Okay. Well, for the most part, like I don't really use a lot of software. So if we just talking about like, I'm mostly on Zoom. If you want to be
Okay.
honest, I'm mostly on Zoom. Like maybe from 9 a.m. to maybe 4 p.m. I'm literally back to back on Zoom, you know. But
Nice.
other than the in-person meeting, I'm always on Zoom. So because a lot of it is we're trying to get away from the internet thing to kind of do a lot of in-person meeting, but it's
Sure.
still a little bit ficky because of COVID.
Yeah.
So Zoom is where I am spending a lot of my time, to be quite honest
So how
with
do
you.
you organize yourself? Do you have an agenda or a calendar? What do you use?
Calendly. You heard of
Calendly.
Calendly? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, Calendly
Calendly.
is
Calendly
good.
saved life.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Those kind of apps have saved my life because, when you have a lot of things jumping around, you need these reminders because we're always on our phone. We cannot lie. This thing right here, we're always holding it up.
Yeah.
So once I get that notification, I'm like, oh man, I gotta be somewhere. So I definitely use Calendly. Um, Definitely use Zoom, and sometimes obviously some people just want to just do Google Meet. Either one of those
Yeah.
video chat things are always good.
Yeah, well, it's efficient, because this podcast I do in-person versions. I'm in Cancun, Mexico right now, and I've
Okay.
discovered the pains of doing meetings physically again. But it's also cool to meet people physically. There's a lot of advantages. I wrote another post of that today. But yeah, like I think if you are back to back every day and talk to a lot of people, one of the top advantages for that is that you get a bunch of different pieces of data. And as a founder, you can stack that all up together and draw magnificent conclusions that can help your business. So I love getting in front of a bunch of different people on a weekly basis. I just get smarter as a result. And I think as a CEO, that's our main role, get in front of people, talk to people, and produce magnificent results out of it. So what's your greatest mistakes that you've made in your life, in your business, and what did you learn from them?
In my business or my life? Which
Both,
one?
yeah.
Both. Okay.
For me, it's all the same, business and life. So
Especially when it affects your pocket.
yeah, yeah,
I can say with life, honestly, it's not a particular decision, right? I think it's just some of the ideas that that I had normalized at an earlier age because one is not sufficient because it was just a lot of drastic bad decision that was
yeah.
made because of the elements and the ideas I started putting in my mind, started
Mm,
feeding myself at an earlier age.
mm,
But when as far as with business, I think that I undermine patience. Where I was going back to patience, that was to me that's probably one of my biggest mistakes. I undermine patience
mm.
because my business plan kept changing, it kept evolving. I was like, okay, well, this is now so I had to keep going and revamping different things, and that is really just the norm. And when you're starting up your business, either revamping your business plan, evolving it, or something, but you have to still keep going on because there's new. What we just asked me earlier about software technology, new things are coming into play. Some information that you didn't have, budgets, all these different things coming into play that I didn't know about. So for me, those are like the two things particularly.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a fine line with patience. Do I put an end to this experiment of mine, or do I keep on grinding and see the light at the end of the tunnel? So, I mean, that's why decision making skills is a skill that so few have, and that so many successful CEO have. So, I mean, great advice right there. Question number 10, because we've got 5 minutes left. What's
Okay.
your best investment ever? It can be an investment of time, money, energy.
Okay. Okay. Well, time. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Because if you're able to invest your time in something that is constructive, it will evolve to something much greater, right? So even when it comes to some of the things that I actually researched, that I found out about the
Mm,
industry that I'm currently in, led me into having some great partnerships with some businesses in the area, like some of the hotels I have
mm.
contract with. So some of these things is what really evolved because if you're not investing in your time and making sure that your time is because I read a quote one time, right? It was like manage your focus instead of managing your time. So
Hmm.
I kind of put both of those things together where it's like, okay, whatever time and window I have to manage a focus that I'm laser target on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Good advice. Your focus is incredible, and yeah, like focusing that time on knowledge and talking to people is one of the best investment ever. What's your best health hack? So if you have a biohack, like I don't know, working out or stretching, like what's your best health hack? How do you keep yourself healthy and performant?
Well, I work out heavy, and I'll go to sleep early. I'm an early
Okay.
bird. I'll probably be in bed 9:30, 10
Oh,
o'clock, and I put my phone on D&D.
hmm.
I don't. Yeah. Because it's definitely sleep early and working out consistently.
Yeah, I can see the discipline here. It's very hard for someone to go to bed early, especially when you're an entrepreneur. You know, you have all these things. You know, me, I try to read before bed, and sometimes I can read for like an hour or two. You know, and I go to bed quite late actually. So, good job on that. Discipline is what I see in you. So, do you have a favorite quote of yours that you often loop in your mind?
Well, like Mandela had this one quote when I was younger that kind of stuck with me when he said, what he said, it was talking about, it was about freedom. He says, no easy walk to freedom, right? That was one that kind of stuck with me at an earlier age. Um, as far as for me currently, there isn't one because I like when you read Robin Shermer's book, you're kind of getting a new quote that you like every day.
Oh yeah,
Robin Shermer, and then I'm reading another book called "Ego is the Enemy."
yeah.
I started on
Ryan
there.
Holiday.
Yeah, yep, Ryan. And I just started on this chapter where they said that those who speak don't know, and those who don't speak know, right? And I was like, you know what, like like I love books like that because it's kind of like a refreshing and stimulating your mind to start going in depth. And
Mm.
but as far as something that's always stuck with me, has always been that Mandela quote, no easy walk to freedom.
Yeah, most of the quotable people that people listen to, they've done the hard work, right? So spending 27 years in a prison cell, I mean, he did the fucking work, you know, and I'm gonna listen to him for sure.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the quote is very accurate, and yeah, like reaching freedom, not only as a black man, but you know, like as any individual, is something that's very hard. Freedom from your demons, freedom from your environment, freedom from the people that you know try to hold you to them, and sometimes you need to break these connections. You know, so freedom is a very hard frigging thing. You know, and I'm grateful that I have a good part of it in my life. So good quote
Yeah,
right there.
absolutely.
Top
Absolutely.
top advice for young founders out there.
Man, my top advice, I think I said it earlier, have patience.
Yeah,
Whatever it is you're trying to do, have patience. It's not going to happen in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Some of it might actually take years.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just the reality of it,
Decades.
decades. We have people that it look like it's overnight, but you read their biography, they've been doing
Mm.
something for 15 years,
Oh
and
yeah.
then another key thing is appreciate every small accomplishments,
Mm.
not overwork yourself where you kind of just overlooking something that you did that is really a boost, because those small accomplishments is a boost that keeps you going,
Oh yeah.
give you energy, and make you understand, okay, well, you know what, I'm on the right track. It gives you that self-satisfaction. So those are my two things I would tell any young founder that is coming up, that is starting their business. Have patience and celebrate your small wins, because those can also
Gratefulness,
be big.
yeah, enjoying the view, and it's very accurate for younger people. Like they live in the instant age with TikTok, you know, and and some of the TikTokers are almost instant success. So it confuses the brain. The 1%, we always compare ourselves to the 1%, but the reality is that the 99%, they hustled for like 10 years to get there. So very good and accurate advice. Two last questions here. You quoted a lot of books. What's your favorite book? Is it, well, I guess you named it the Robin Sharma one. Do you have another
Yeah.
book that you'd refer for us?
Well, another one I'll say is The Alchemist. The Alchemist was a game
Very good
changer.
one.
I read
Paulo
The
Cohen,
Alchemist.
or yeah,
Yeah, the
Paulo.
Brazilian guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brazilian. Yep, he from Brazil. I read. He was the first book I actually read in prison. That was the first
Mm.
book I read, And then when I got released last year, I picked up the 5 a.m. Club. Those are my two favorite books. So the 5 a.m. Club and The Alchemist. Those two books kind of give me a purpose outside of religious reasons.
Thank you for that. And last question: what does future look like in your field, aka the event planning world for nonprofits?
Well, the future is bright. The future is definitely bright. Right now, I'm actually getting ready to have my second annual gala,
Oh yeah.
July 24th. This one is about prison reform, and our honorary organization is called Casa Bridges, of the organization I told you about that works
Yeah.
with juveniles earlier.
Hmm.
And then from there is just introducing our next sector of my company, which is going to be financial literacy. So you guys kind of have like an announcement from us, which next year will be financial literacy. And I'm excited about that. That one right there is going to kind of do a lot of positive effect. It's going to teach a lot of people very, very much in depth about financial literacy and having one-on-one teaching seminars and things like that before we get to the gala. So that's going to take a journey of itself.
Very inspiring, man. Where can people find out more about you, Musa?
So as far as our company website is www.deen, was spelled with two E's, deenentertainment.com. And on Instagram is Deen underscore entertainment. And then for my personal Instagram is I am underscore Deen. So yeah.
All right, my man. Well, people can also find you on LinkedIn, Musa Kamara with a K.
Yeah,
And
with a K. Yep.
nice talking to you. I think we dropped a lot of wisdom. So yeah, let's keep touch, and I'll keep you advised when this will be online. All right.
All right, man. I appreciate it, man. Take care, man.
Good day. Bye.